Iraq continues to flaunt its hostility toward America and to support terror. The Iraqi regime has plotted to develop anthrax and nerve gas and nuclear weapons for over a decade.
How do truths turn into lies? And how are lies made into truths? How do the mechanisms for manufacturing common opinion, public opinion, directed at the attack targets of imperialist centers operate? Who takes on which roles in this picture? How do the media and social media steer us? How have the mechanisms of manipulation changed and developed throughout history? And what is the situation today? Our minds are prone to deceiving us. What we perceive can, under certain conditions, deviate from reality. Or thoughts we assume to be the product of free decisions may in fact be the product of certain other conditionings. Tons of experiments have been conducted and scientific conclusions drawn on this subject. A significant portion of manipulation techniques exploit these illusions. Our senses perform their functions as a whole. Hearing, sight, touch, smell, and taste are not entirely independent of one another. The brain combines these perceptions and forms an integrated meaning from them. For example, research shows that people feel more pain during an injection when they look at the syringe needle. These deceptive workings in human perception and in the functioning of the brain are also used to manipulate societies on a large scale. Manufacturing public opinion, perception operations, psychological warfare. Those who undertake such endeavors exploit the human weaknesses, some of which we have touched on here. One of the most important conditions for manipulation to work is widespread ignorance. Yet, even when our species is equipped with a great deal of knowledge, indeed, sometimes precisely because of it, it has weaknesses that leave it open to manipulation. These weaknesses have been exploited since the earliest times by rulers and dominant classes, and many methods have been developed in this field. Fear, the fundamental weakness of ours that the powerful have exploited for centuries and still exploit in the harshest forms, even in the 21st century. Our fears. Ignorance provides ample opportunity for fear, uncertainty, and doubt to spread. But the mechanism fundamentally at work is that the human brain, stunned by fear, is rendered ready to embrace ideas at once. Fear, one of the most primal human emotions, is a highly convenient target for manipulators. First of all, it eliminates the capacity for sound judgment, and, together with a feeling of helplessness, the individual or the society is conditioned to cling to the first life buoy thrown to them. In an atmosphere of fear, attitudes such as unquestioning obedience, turning toward choices one would never consciously approve of, and even supporting the very policies one opposes become possible. During the Iraq War, the US military announced to the world the assault tactic it called the shock and awe operation, and explained its rationale as follows: to paralyze the enemy's perception in war and thereby shatter its will to fight. This tactic was in fact a perception management technique that US administrations had been using for decades against both their own people and the peoples of the world. Take terror, for instance. It creates shock and awe in human beings, and the atmosphere of fear that emerges in the aftermath of terror provides the most favorable environment for manipulation. Under conditions of fear of terror, making a rational assessment or adopting sound positions is often impossible. People's faculties of judgment are seen to lock up, and in their helplessness, they turn toward whatever options they regard as protective measures. In a similar way, fear of crime, fear of ecological catastrophe, fear of economic crisis, fear of pandemics, fear of the violation of private life, and many more come onto the agenda in different periods. The masses, whose living standards steadily deteriorate, are manipulated in the desired direction by being kept living amid a constant succession of fears instead of confronting their real problems. Fearing economic crises and longing for a stable life is likewise one of the impasses produced by this weak side of humanity, by its fears. You are expected to live on the dream that a system which cannot survive without crises will attain stability, and to surrender to the first option placed before you, even if it is the worst of the bad. Because the frightened person cannot wait, they are closed to a more systematic and rational struggle. Even if the path they embrace is no remedy for their troubles, they rush toward it. Even knowing their choice offers no real solution, they can see no option other than a quick escape from their fears.
The United Nations can't act, and if Saddam Hussein won't act, the United States will lead a coalition of nations to disarm Saddam Hussein.
Another assault our minds find hard to resist is the constant repetition of a particular view through various channels and in different forms.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Even an idea that strikes you as utterly absurd becomes, to the extent that it begins to gain widespread acceptance and be taken for granted, an inescapable part of the reality that shapes you. Known as one of the major pillars of the Nazi propaganda apparatus, repetition is one of the methods most frequently resorted to in mass manipulation. But the most brilliant propaganda technique will achieve no success unless one fundamental principle is kept constantly and unwaveringly in mind. It must confine itself to a few points and repeat them over and over again. The purpose of propaganda is not to provide interesting diversion for bored young minds, but to convince the masses. But the masses move slowly, and they always require a certain time before they are ready even to notice a thing. And only after the simplest ideas have been repeated thousands of times will the masses finally remember them. Adolf Hitler. Uncertainty, distortion, deception. Another method used to make lies look like the truth is to create uncertainty. Its most basic tactic is to put into circulation, alongside the truth, a large quantity of false and distorted information. Disinformation is the term for misleading information released to the public by a government, an intelligence agency, a corporation, or any other center of power in order to influence perceptions and opinions. False information put forward to steer people can spread through many different channels and is usually produced by mixing truth, half-truth, and lies. Information of unclear origin, leaks from concealed sources, confessions whose sources have been placed under protection, captured documents, and the like constitute the typical formats of disinformation. Conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theories are a method frequently resorted to in the production of fear and helplessness. They are also used to veil the truth and to create uncertainty and distortion. They are presented as extraordinary events planned by certain power centers and executed flawlessly. The more explanatory power these theories acquire, the more feelings of helplessness and surrender take people captive. Those who believe in conspiracy theories are people who see nothing to be done in the face of flawless power centers, and no recourse other than turning to the option placed before them. For those who are more careful about such theories, another danger arises: the danger of stamping every similar piece of information as a conspiracy theory and moving on. A reality of sensational importance concerning a relationship, an event, or an intention is rendered invisible by unleashing its most absurd versions in a bombardment. These versions are so utterly lacking in credibility that they cause the reality waiting to surface somewhere to be devalued. Thus, genuine information too is branded a conspiracy theory, pushed out of the frame and made invisible. Whichever way you look at it, conspiracy theories are among the most indispensable elements of manipulation. And in every case, they turn our minds to mush. If you believe them, you have surrendered. If you dismiss them entirely, you run the risk of overlooking the truth. Alongside these very basic methods, there are other frequently used techniques that steer our perceptions through the media. Let us look at a few examples. Echo chamber. Media that unquestioningly repeats official sources or a single point of view. Front group. Activists who advocate an agenda while keeping its sponsorship hidden and projecting a different image. Policy laundering. The defense that a criticized policy was carried out because of other necessities or because of being cornered by hostile forces. Using distorted quotations. Using distorted quotations to discredit an idea or its author and to build trust in another idea. Strawman fallacy. Portraying a person or a target in a form different from, weaker than, their own self-description, and discrediting them. The mechanisms of manipulation conceptualized today as media management and public relations are in fact fields in which money is decisively determinative. Just as, through public relations, advertising and marketing are carried out for the goods people need, or are expected and desired to own, marketing is likewise carried out for ideas and ideologies they are expected to hold but do not actually need. Within professional public relations firms, there are even those who take on the job of selling a war. That is, the task of persuading the public of a country, or of several countries, to go to war. As for the media's role in backing politics and ideologies, in the period we are living through, it has become far more pronounced, and has even ceased to be questioned. Let us look a little more closely at how this mechanism operated at the end of the 20th century and the beginning of this one. Getting journalists to report on particular topics and paying them to do so. Contracting public relations firms to market ideas about a war or some other matter. presenting false or partially true information from dubious sources as news or as fact. PR firms feeding the press stories of unclear origin designed to shape public opinion. It is clear that, in order to resist as human beings and to refuse to bow to the captivity of our free will, we must put this modern science of social engineering under the microscope and understand its mechanisms. Sylvain Timsit, the originator of the concept of media manipulation, listed in 2002 the 10 methods of media manipulation used by the ruling classes to control the people. The strategies used to create docile, obedient, compliant masses were set out as follows. Diverting attention. The strategy of distraction aims to draw the public's attention away from important issues toward other matters. When a stream of stories about trivial subjects floods the news bulletins, people's minds become confused and they stop questioning as well. Problem, reaction, solution. This is based on creating a problem, later to be solved, in order to learn in advance how society will react. It can be thought of as a kind of public opinion survey. Implementing change gradually. This strategy consists of a set of scenarios staged step by step in order to get people to accept unjust decisions. Suppose a major company is going to carry out mass layoffs and wants to soften the backlash. First, negative news about the company is spread in the media so that people are gradually accustomed to the news of the layoffs. Change. Another strategy is to present to society unpopular decisions that will produce results harmful to the people, justified as necessary, for a better future, or for our own good. In this way, people grow accustomed to a lower quality of life and begin to regard it as normal. In the end, they resign themselves to the existing situation and give up the rights they had been demanding. Treating people like children. The more the media wants to manipulate the public, the more it talks to people as if they were children. Sugar-coated arguments, characters, and intonations are used as though people were too weak or not mature enough to cope with the truth. The aim is also to open the door to an obedient, docile reaction. What lies beneath this is the goal of keeping people from thinking critically like adults. Appealing to emotions. Emotional appeals are far more powerful than sterile, objective ones. The media strives to keep people from being able to think critically and to control the public's thoughts. Keeping the public mediocre and ignorant. According to Timsit, the media prefers an ignorant and uncultured public. Keeping people away from knowledge makes the job of manipulation easier. At the same time, it renders disobedience and rebellion improbable. Encouraging people to contribute to mediocrity. This strategy is one of the most cunning among media manipulations. Do the shows featured on TV or recommended on internet platforms accord with the public's general expectations? Or are they imposed by the media? In other words, do we watch what we actually want to watch? Or do we watch what they want us to watch? It is in fact extremely simple. Consumption and vulgarity hypnotize us. We are trained to be ordinary without regard for our surroundings. Self-blame. By encouraging our ignorance, the media leads us to believe that we alone are responsible for the misfortunes that befall us. It tells us that our incompetence will leave us miserable and unsuccessful. In essence, by absolving itself, it gets the public to blame itself and tries to keep the public from taking action. Knowing the public well. All psychological, social, and technological developments now allow big corporations to know everything about every individual. The system knows us. knows each of our weaknesses better than ever. And this means it can manipulate us precisely where we are weakest.